According to a 2016 post by Harriet Basker of MSNBC, the average American eats about 18,928 cookies in their lifetime. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Cohen Nelson, and today I'm going to show you just how to get a little bit closer to that number. Have you ever been home and wanted a cookie? And I don't mean like a Chips Ahoy or an Oreo. No, I mean a homemade, gooey, warm, fresh cookie that melts in your mouth. But you either didn't know how to make one or you didn't have all of the ingredients to make cookies. Well, here is an easy recipe to prep and cook simple 3-ingredient peanut butter cookies. Before we begin, there's some things you need to do. For starters, you need to preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, you need a medium, ungreased baking sheet, a large mixing bowl for your ingredients, cooling racks for once your cookies are finished, 2 spatulas, a spoon of some sort, and measuring bowls for your ingredients. Next, for the ingredients you'll need to cook, you're going to need 1 egg, 1 cup of peanut butter. You can use creamy or crunchy. It doesn't matter. Personally, I'm going to use creamy because that's what I prefer. 1 cup granulated white sugar. And those are your 3 ingredients. That's what makes them 3-ingredient cookies. However, I personally like to throw in about half a cup to a full cup of chips, whether they're chocolate chips or butterscotch or peanut butter, just to add a little bit extra to the cookie. So I will be using 3/4 of a cup semi-sweet chocolate chip cookies, or chocolate chips. Now for the recipe itself, you're going to start by mixing your egg, your sugar, and your peanut butter into your large mixing bowl. If you're going to use chips, you're going to leave them to the side for now, and those will come into play later. Once all 3 ingredients are in the bowl, you're going to mix them together. You can use an electric mixer. I prefer doing it by hand, just out of personal preference. And you're just going to mix until the mixture is smooth and you don't see any lumps of sugar or egg or peanut butter sitting by itself. You're going to keep mixing and mixing until you get that consistency. Now, I've done some experimentation with this recipe because I was curious. And if you are allergic to peanut butter, you are in luck. You can, in fact, use almond butter or sunflower butter for this recipe. Those are the 2 that I have tried. And they both come out with the same consistency or a similar consistency for the cookies. However, if you're going to use a substitute, I recommend using almond butter, as sunflower butter gets kind of bland. So you're going to keep stirring until your consistency is like so. Get a few more stirs. Then if you're using your chips, now is your time to take those and just fold them into the mixture so they're nice and evenly dispersed. You don't really have to put too much effort into that. So just stir those together like so. And once your mixture is like this, you're going to take that second spatula, and it is the only time you're going to use that. You're just going to press your excess down into your bowl so you don't waste any ingredients. And then once that's done, you're either going to use your hand or a spoon. I have this nice little cookie dough scooper. And you're going to get medium-sized scoops of your dough, and you're going to place it on your baking sheet. Now, you don't have to grease this baking sheet, like I said, because the oils in the cookie will keep it from sticking for you, which is nice. And you're going to want to partition these out so when they bake, they don't stick together. Now, I am using rows of 3, just because that's what works on my baking sheet. However, you might have to use something different. Now, this recipe, I never really saw myself as a good cook or a good baker, or even a baker in general, until I was taking a cooking class, and I had to cook these for one of the weeks. And they actually turned out really well, and it was so easy that I started getting more into baking and looking at more recipes. And I attribute this recipe to really broadening my horizons and getting me into cooking. So as you get closer to getting your balls laid out, you should have around 15 yield with this batch. Depending on the kind of scoop or the size of the balls that you make, that can differ greatly. I've seen people make batches of around 24, and people make batches of like 6. So that's just up to how you divvy up your batter. Now, once you've spread your balls out, you're going to take your spoon once again, and you're just going to press down slightly on your balls of dough, and this helps them cook just all the way through, so they're not doughy in the middle, and it helps them set out a little better while they're baking. Now, once you've done that, if I can get them to do that, once you've done that, you can pop them in the oven for around 10 to 15 minutes. Personally, I'm going to go with 12, just because that's what works for me generally. And when they're done, they should just be nice and firm around the edges, like so, and look like this. And you're going to leave them on their baking sheet and let them sit for around 5 minutes before transferring them to your cooling racks. This just prevents any cracking or breaking when you're transferring them. Once again, this has been how to make simple 3-ingredient peanut butter cookies. Enjoy, and have a good afternoon, good evening, and good night.